Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to connect Excel to an SQL database using VBA so that we could automate and run SQL queries directly from the Excel application. And more precisely, I'm going to use SQL Server Management Studio as this is what I have installed on my laptop. Now the VBA code to achieve this is a bit complex to write and I don't remember it. So I'm not going to write it myself. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to generate the code for me. So I've already initiated a session with ChatGPT and is asking me here in Bulgarian, where do we start? So I'll write a prompt here and let's write, hello my brother. I need to connect Excel to SSMS version 20. Not that it makes that big difference using VBA, but I don't remember the syntax. Could you generate the code for me, please? And now let's see what result we will get. So here it says that we should enable some library first. Let's see if there are other options that it suggests. Yeah, we're gonna use late binding because here we won't have to reference any library as it suggests here. So I'm gonna use this option. And let's directly copy this and see what's going to happen. So back to Excel, launching the Visual Basic Editor. As you can see, I have no code here whatsoever. So let's paste it now. And let's inspect the code before running it blindly, of course. So we have a bunch of variables. Obviously, con stands for the connection. And then RS, I guess this stands for the record set, which is the result that the SQL query will produce. Then this ADODB, that means Active X Data Objects Database. And this is the interface that VBA uses to communicate with external data sources. And in this case, this is going to be the SQL Server Management Studio. Now, this is the part where I'll have to change with my server name and my database name, and I'm gonna do this in just a second. Then this is the line that initiated the string. This is then the SQL query that we're going to write, and obviously we're going to change this with the query that I'm going to write in just a second. And I guess this is the most important line since this runs the SQL query and it appends the data in range A2. That's a bit weird. I'm not sure why A2 and not A1, but maybe because the first row will be the header. And in the end, it even first it closes both the record set and the connection objects and set those to nothing. This is not mandatory, but I guess it's a good programming practice, so I'm gonna leave it. In the end, it also says message box done. I mean, I'm going to delete this message box. I don't need it now. So I will have to change this line and this line with my server name and my database name. So let's open SQL Server Management Studio because I don't remember exactly the server name and the database name. So this is the server name and I'm logging it with Windows authentication. So I don't ever write any passwords here. So I'm going to copy this back to the Visual Basic Editor. I'm going to paste it here where it says your server name. And then for the database name, now let's connect here. And I'm going to use the AdventureWorks database. Now, the AdventureWorks database is a popular open source sample database provided by Microsoft for demonstration and training purposes. Now, it's important to write the database exactly as it appears here, and it's kind of complex name to write. I'm afraid I will misspell it, so I'm gonna copy it from here. And back to the Visual Basic Editor, I'm going to paste it here. And now the last thing that we need to change is our SQL query. So I'm gonna pick this table here where it says the address, and I'm gonna get the entire table in Excel. Now, obviously, before doing this, we need to ensure that the table doesn't contain like millions of records, because otherwise it's not going to work. And one thing I can do is I can write select count, and this will count how many records there are in this table. So if I click run now, we can see that we have 450 records, and then I can get the entire table, meaning all the columns and all the rows, and this is going to be my SQL query. So I'm gonna change it here, and let's open the worksheet, and I think I'm ready to test this. So let's click run and see what's going to happen. All right, the data is appended, but we have a problem now here that the header row is missing. And to do this, I think the proper way to get the header row is to loop through the fields collection of the record set. However, as mentioned, I don't remember the syntax in my head, so I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and ask it to fix the code for me. And another thing, if I click run now, as you can see, the data gets appended below. Now, this is easy to fix because we were supposed to have 450 records. Actually, there are still 450 records, but I want to ensure that before the data is appended here, the data will be removed. So I can write here sheet1.cells.clear just to ensure that the data will be cleared before appended. So if I click run now, yeah, that works. And now let's go back to ChatGPT and write another prompt. Oh good, bro, just one little problem. The header row is missing. Can you fix this for me, please? So now it suggests, yeah, exactly. This is what I remember, that we had to loop through the fields collection. So this is the code, and I think everything else should be the same. So I will just copy this part, Control C, and paste it here. And since we're using a new variable now, I will declare it above, although it's not necessary. Demi as long. And now let's see what's going to happen. So if I click run, all right, now we have the header row. So that's it. Since the database is stored locally, as you can see, it happens instantly. And there are multiple advantages. Now, if you're wondering why would I use Excel to run queries, I'm just gonna share some advantages based on my experience. Above all, we will be able to execute queries, as you can see, simply with a mouse click, and we don't even need to log into SSMS. And then if you're working in a team that is rather technical, then that's not a problem. But if your colleagues are struggling with SQL, but maybe they need data from databases, then you can automate some queries for them and they will be able to run those with a single click. Like for instance, I can, let's say, insert a shape now here and let's say get all users from, let's say, Toronto, right? And yeah, maybe I should increase the font here a little bit to let's say 16 and center it. Not sure why it doesn't select the entire text. Okay, now it does. And then I can simply make a right click, assign macro, and assign it to this subroutine. And then I will have to change my query a little bit. So back to SSMS, I'll write here where city equals Toronto. And if I click run, we expect to get 24 records. So we'll copy paste this in the Visual Basic Editor. And now if I click this shape, then we will get only those records that we're interested, right? Now, another thing, we can create some user forms, then those will allow us to filter the data directly in Excel without doing anything in SSMS. We can also use VBA to automate the data and build some charts and dashboards inside Excel. Now, for many small to medium business use cases, I think this will be enough, although tools like Power BI or Tableau may be better for large or highly interactive reports. Of course, last but not least, you will no longer be worried about this question, can I export this to Excel? Because as you can see, the data directly appears in Excel. And another thing is that VBA allows us to do all the so-called CRUD operations or create, remove, update, and delete operations. So later we will use VBA in future videos to not only do more advanced stuff like getting data from multiple tables, filtering, sorting, grouping, and so on, but we can use VBA to insert records into SQL tables. Something that is not possible, for instance, with Power Query, based on my knowledge. So that's going to be it for today. If you have any questions, then please drop them in the comments. This is the entire code, which, by the way, we're going to optimize in future videos because the query should be stored in variables and should be run from another subroutine, and this will ensure better maintainability of the code. But this is what we're going to do in future videos. For now, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I'll make sure to reply as fast as possible. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.